fun audio. All right. Welcome, everyone, to week 2 of our 2024 Community FNM format roundtable insert descriptors here streams. So this week, the one and only Bobby bfine, am joined by two new guests. We have on my left Liam, the PDH PhD, as he is known from the PDH pod.
Yes. Don't smirk over there, Liam. You know it's true.
And then to my right, I have the... I'm running out of adjectives.
Oh my god, it's Chris.
There you go. What more does it say? Chris, one more game MTG. Yeah, thanks both you guys for showing up and joining me tonight for some FNM action.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So I guess before, I know we want to talk about kind of some cards and some decks and some archetypes and fun stuff. But I guess we should kick off. There's been a ton of fun news going on announcement-wise in the PDH scene. I know Liam loves talking about all the announcements and things happening this week in Magic. So I guess let's just run through kind of what's going on this week. This year should be a pretty crazy year for PDH tournaments, it sounded like. So, Chris, I guess let's start with yours. Yours is the one coming up soonest.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the Common Cause tournament.
So the Common Cause is a tournament run by myself, and then we have additional hosts. But this one's going to be Trivia Encounters and Ryan from Common Connoisseurs. Basically what it is a $15 entry, and right now we're doing a $200 first place prize. So basically trying to kick the year off really, really strong. What we're doing is all the proceeds, though, are going to go to charity. So this one we're going to do is Project Hope. So basically help the kids all around the world that are dealing with a bunch of stuff they shouldn't have to be dealing with. So what we're doing is, as we're streaming itself, you're more than welcome to watch and donate money from there. The biggest thing is we want to get the community together and help just get a lot of donations as possible, in addition to helping the pauper community grow on top of it. So that is on February 10th. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And for the registration, you just go to my website. It's omgmtg.com.
Perfect. And you said the proceeds are going to, you said Project Hope, right?
Project Hope, correct. Yep.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, with each one, we're going to do a new charity on every single event that we're going to do. Like I said, we have a lot of plans for tons of these things in the future and down the line.
Yeah, and the charity component is awesome. I know I was in the last one. It was a fun time. It'll be... just more opportunities to play PDH are always great, right? And
that's what it is. In all honesty, it's the root of it all. Yep.
And this one helps other people too. So definitely awesome. After that, as far as the next tournament, I won't spend too long because I've talked about this before plenty. But the Sanctuary tournament is coming up in March, March 16th, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Same deal. Spell table. $16 entry, prizes, 15 of that per person goes into the prize pool to the top 4 or 16 depending on numbers. And the cool new thing is the winner gets to help make a cool custom token that they'll get sent a bunch. We're going to hand them out to, people playing in FNM, people who play in tournaments, leagues, all that fun stuff. So it'll be a good time. Go to sanctuarypdh.com or just check the announcement section in the server, and you'll be able to sign up there. Other quick self-plug real quick. The league, we're starting the third PDH league Sunday. So you have until midnight Eastern time tomorrow. So 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow to sign up. And then I'm going to post pairings first thing Sunday morning. So free to enter. Tokens are going to be handed out as prizes. The winner gets free entry into the next Sanctuary tournament, and we're going to have some cards to give out based on the number of people who end up participating. So, again, more PDH all the time. Liam, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the fun tournament coming up in Philly? I know you've been there previously.
Yes, I have been there previously. So it's actually not in Philly this time. It's in Phoenixville, which I guess you could count as part of Philly. I don't know how.
Basically, it's like a roc's throw in Philly regard, you know.
Right. It's like a step and a skip outside of Philly, but in Philly / Phoenixville will be the 4th Riches to Rags event hosted by Dallas, aka Gilded Adonis, up in that area. I mean, it's looking to be a fun time. It looks like they've partnered with Eminence in a more permanent way by becoming a part of Punt City, which if I mean, I get it's capped at 32, and I mean for a good reason because of the partnership. But I mean, if that gets that scene to explode,
Yeah.
that'll be fantastic. So
show up, so there's a reason for them to keep increasing that cap is like the goal.
yes.
We
want to hit that 32. And the fact that we've hit 16 in I mean more than 16. I think it's like 17, 18 around this point.
Just over half, yeah.
The fact that we hit over half capacity within 24 hours and the event is still what is it? It's March, April. It's April 7th.
Early April.
3 months out.
So
still. Yeah.
So the fact that it's still 3 months out, and if they sold 1.5 tickets a week, they would sell out, and that's the goal. So,
and maybe
I'm very
make
happy
it sell out.
That legit 32, like having a cap. I think it's gonna be really, really good because when we were in Philadelphia for the last Riches to Rags, I think it was 44 people, and it had a little bit of chaos. This way, like you're like hey, this is a legit, this is competitive scene. We have a legit 32, 16, 8, and so forth. Like it just creates that far more competitive aspect. That it's going to make it far more synonymous with the CDH scene, and it's like a direct 1-to-1 comparison now,
Yeah,
I agree. I think it'll do wonders for that area, that scene, if it caps out, which it should.
Yeah. And I like that it'll hopefully increase exposure of the format to CDH players, because I think that's who's like seeing what the CDH community has done to grow. CPDH is kind of in that same thing where it started online webcams and now it's becoming this big paper thing. And if we can kind of grow the same way CDH does, I'm all for it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time because even look at the last 6 months to a year. We had one event for PDH tournaments, and now we have probably going to have like 15 this year. Like it went from almost nothing, just basic casual, to a couple of events, then a few events, and now it's just snowballing.
Yeah, I've actually got the note up from yesterday when I was working on it. In 2021, I can't find an exact date, but in the middle of 2021, I'm pretty sure this was in like Japan. There was just a random PDH tournament. Like someone on Reddit got the LGS to do one. Cool. In 2022, and we're talking like the back half of 2022, there was one PDH tournament. It was the very first Philly Riches to Rags. And there was also a budget CEDH tournament that got taken down by a PDH deck by our community's very own Puzzle. And after that, 2023, there was seven tournaments.
Jeez.
There were 3 Sanctuaries, 2 Phillies, Common Cause, and an RIW. And I mean, I said it yesterday in my own Discord, but the fact that we are a week and a half into 2024 and already have 3 tournaments on the books, scheduled, organized, judges ready to go, and one that is in talks with community leaders on solidifying a date, like.
Yeah, it's
dude.
It's crazy.
What week and a half? We are 12 days in. We've already got 4 tournaments. We are 12 days into the year, and we're already 50% of the way to meeting last year. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm excited to have more people putting on stuff because I want to play more.
Yeah.
Selfishly. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and if we can get some more, I know the pals. Me and Sniff are trying to convince the rest of the pals to make a pals con happen. So
they need to do a pals con.
Yeah, so that could be in the works.
As the longest running streamers, I mean, they have to.
Just emphasize that we'll do 40 life for them. We'll do the 40 life.
We'll run pals rules like 40 life, 21 commander.
Yep.
Like that's fine.
I'm okay with trying that.
Yeah,
just get everyone down there.
We just have to Sniff and I are working on it. Sniff is slowly trying to infiltrate their brains to convince them it's a great idea, which it is. So I don't know why they need much convincing, but yeah. So excited for 2024. One other thing I want to point out, this is less of a tournament thing, but more of a cool thing coming up in Magic that Liam is involved in. The PDH RC stream coming up on Monday. Liam, what do you know about that?
All I know is that I think it was Derek of the RC got the three of us into a group chat and said we should do this, and my other two hosts were like, yeah, that sounds great. And I was like, well, I can't say no now. And then I was like, okay, so when? And they were like, January. And I was like, seems a little close for me. I like to plan a couple months out. So like when they're talking like beginning of December, like, hey, we're gonna do this in January, I was like, that seems close. But you know what? Like, let's do it. Like, let's get it out. So it'll be the 3 PDH pod members as well as Derek of the RC jamming a game. Or 2. Or I would say 3, but probably no turn 3 wins in that pod. So, probably 2 games.
Or any spoilers as to the decks we can expect to see yet? No? Yes? Maybe?
Dude, I have no idea.
You don't even know you're gonna play yet?
No. I mean, what?
I thought you
have no idea.
months in advance, and now you're telling me you don't
Yeah,
even have a
now
deck
you're like,
3
I'll
days
do it the
out?
night before.
No. I plan events and dates and months in advance. The details wait till the last second. Get it right. I'll be real. I don't know how many decks Derek has. I know Dave has 70, 80 plus. I
Way
know
too many.
Brad has like 37 that he posted like last
40,
week.
yep.
Dude, I have 6. I think there's one in there. I have like maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's too many. So I have no idea. And I mean, throw a dart at a Tokyo Commander. I probably have it, or at least the parts to make a half-functional version. Depending how competitive they want to get. If they want to get super competitive, I'll break out the Sphinx that hasn't been updated in 8 months. If
Everyone's
they want
Sphinx
to,
is an update.
nobody's Sphinx is updated because mine isn't updated.
Yep, pretty much. Because I do.
Let's see here. If they want to go like hyper casual, I 100% expect a showdown of Wombat versus Graceblade.
I'm okay with this.
With neither of us winning the pod, both of us just like hyper fixating on the other. Outside of that, I have no real clue. I'm looking at the new Captain Lannery from Lost Caverns of Ixalan that I have an altar of that was sent to me for a Secret Santa exchange that I haven't actually built yet. So I might just make a floor meta version of that and roll with that.
We don't test decks before we play them. We just play them.
No. Dude, I'll make the floor. I'll make the floor meta version of that 10 minutes before the stream. Like, I'll start pulling apart other decks to make it.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that now. If I don't see that on the stream, you'll be hearing from me in the comments section. So.
Okay.
You'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Wait, that's just him.
What?
Oh, snap.
But yeah, so that should be awesome. Everyone, make sure you go check that out on Monday. And if you don't already listen to the PDH pod every week, you should. There's something wrong with you, and do it.
Yeah.
So,
exactly what Bobby said.
Yeah. So let's talk some Magic. I know we wanted to talk a little bit before we jump into the commentary. Chris wanted to kind of talk about how kind of trends in the metagame are, what we see in them and kind of how they're impacted by set printings. I know that's been just the sheer number of sets has been, a topic of controversy as of late, but in the PDH world, we're only looking at, a handful of cards every set, realistically, handful of commanders, handful of cards. So, our impact may not be as, great as like, EDH or other, 60 card formats, but we still see, fluctuations. So Chris, I don't know. I'll let you kind of kick it off and we'll just go.
Yeah. So what I've seen when I look at the different trend lines of like the games that are submitted to the CPDH guide is basically the way it breaks down is 1 quarter is combo, then the next quarter is mid range, then the next quarter is combo, and the next quarter is mid range. It's basically like an up and up thing for each other one. Like Control and Voltron and are just not really there anymore in the aspect of it all. The biggest thing, like, is what I want to see in the years coming, or even the months coming, is as each set progresses and giving us more and more content from WotC, is combo going to really grow any further than what it is, or is mid-range going to take over the scene? And the reason why I bring the question of itself up is combo decks themselves, like, they're not really getting a lot of pieces with each set that comes out. Their core baseline is pretty much the exact same thing. Like, take Gretchen or take Abdel Flicker. Their core decks are probably not swapping out more than 1-2 cards every month or two, you know? They're really not doing much overall if you were to keep up to those things. Whereas I see a lot more decks, commanders and cards come out, or like downshifts and new cards for mid-range or even control that aspect, getting a lot more options that are being printed from my like thoughts of itself. So I wonder is just mid-range going to basically bottom itself out, or is like it going to shoot up like crazy? A lot of it comes into play since like with Gator and his turn 3 win, like you had mentioned a little bit earlier, like the whole turn 3 win. Like that really sparked combo crazily in the overall format itself. It was like that was something that was never heard of. Like how the hell in the world did a turn 3 even exist? Like it's never been that thought of like winning prior to maybe turn 4, but more often than not, you're winning on like turn 6 or 7 on a stronger, well-built deck. Now we have someone playing combo who was a very good deck builder, so it's in a sense a little bit expected, being playing it so often, that you have combo now showing, hey, look, this is the true potential that combo can build. Are a bunch of people going to just start to flock to combo, or are a lot of people going to start building way more control in mid-range to offset those combo players? You know, it's like, what balance do we expect in the coming months, you know?
Yeah, I think one thing, I mean, I expect combo to stay a big part of the metagame, and I mean, I'm a dirty combo player myself, so I think, like you said, you know, combo decks, their core and their combo pieces, we haven't gotten a new combo piece really at all recently. When you look at the combo decks, like we got Sunshot Militia, which was like a new version of something we already had for like the pirate combo decks. You know, we get some like semi-functional reprints and like redundancy there. But like really where combo decks are getting new toys has more recently been commanders more than anything.
Correct, yeah.
So, you know, and we may or may not see more of that as, you know, creatures get more. I mean, all cards are just getting more and more pushed, you know, fire design, everything's like just power creep is a real thing. So, I don't know, you know, it would be, I don't know what a new combo piece would look like, right? Like if it would just be
and that's something, there's also that, like, what would it be? Like so we had the example of like this Cutzel that came out more recently. Teshar had the downshift. Like those are potentially new combo avenues, or like mid-range control based. Like it's not, now you're trying to do a control with a Cutzel, or is it more aggro? Like there really isn't much more to add to the combo scene than what's pretty much already there. Like when you think CEDH, the same concept, like the top tier 1 decks, they've been the same tier 1 decks for a very long time. Seldom are they changing. They're now more recently with the master sets that are being printed out, you'll start to see more of like a fluctuation of certain decks. Like one of my favorite examples is Winota. Winota was one of the most powerful commander decks that are like in CEDH scene, and now in the last like 6 months, you almost never see it. It's still extremely strong. So the same concept would be like, take the Weaver Twins, for example. The Weaver Twins were top notch. You could see them religiously, or even Tatiova, same concept. These were commanders that, like, you go into a table, you're going to see at least one of these on the table. Now you look at it, like, how often are you seeing a Weaver Twins? Almost never. It's once in a blue moon. Tatiova, same thing. Once in a blue moon. So it's like, is that, I highly doubt it, but like, is Malcolm plus X gonna be that way at some point, or is Malcolm always gonna, like Malcolm or Abdel in a sense, are they always gonna be at the top of the table every single event? You know, like they're great. Don't get me wrong. Like, but like, is that like again the downfall of it all is a sense of like WotC? Do they really see Pauper Commander as like a thing compared to CEDH and EDH? Which again, us growing as a total community, that is it's going to be changing drastically as the months progress. So that I do expect them to start pushing a little bit more towards us. Like I said, one of my favorite examples is Teshar. I would never have expected to see Teshar as an uncommon on our level to see how that plays out, because that was very like sophisticated CEDH based deck, and now they're throwing it into a whole different scenario. So it's like, what's gonna happen as there's the power creep goes, you know?
Yeah, and I know, Liam, I want to get your thought, because you guys talked about this on a recent episode. I don't remember which one, but kind of like we're seeing a lot of functional reprints, and I think this maybe happened during the articles you guys were talking about, how you're seeing. We have two like Ren's Resolves. We have a handful of sacrifice draw to effects that vary in like creature. We have Corrupted Conviction. We have Village Rites. We have a billion scam type effects, Undying Malice, Supernatural Stamina, Return to Act, all these fake your own death. We're just getting a lot of redundant parts, and I think that so far the redundant parts we've gotten have done more good for combo decks than mid-range decks.
Correct.
But
yes,
yeah. Think about freed decks, right? Like we've gotten since. What was Snow in like Modern Horizons 2 or something? I don't remember set it's anymore.
Well, so I want to comment on that a little bit.
Yeah.
We're looking at functionally identical or nearly functionally identical cards. So Ren's Resolve and Reckless Impulse is one example. Another example would be the Shire Terrace and the cave that does the exact same thing. They're like
There
were like 12 caves. I can't remember the names, but the Shire Terrace and the cave that did the same thing. The Modern Horizons card we've had for years, Cave of Temptation, getting a functional reprint that literally has the cave subtype on it. These are all like very. Ren's Resolve and Reckless Impulse is not a casual card, although it sees a lot of casual play. But the other two are definitely casual style cards, and seeing two of them in the same year is definitely strange. Especially the Shire Terrace example, where it's a card that the mechanical space for it has existed for literally 15 years since the panoramas were printed. Yeah. And forever, I mean, you could find little tiny tidbits from designers about like how panorama that just generically searched would be too powerful, and then they print two in a year. And neither are terribly reprintable, to be honest. Shire Terrace is very specific. Now, you could make an excuse that Shires could theoretically exist in the Magic world, but like the cave subtype is not super reprintable unless there's a set that cares about it. Honestly, a little upset they didn't just reprint Cave of Temptation and give it a functional errata like that. Yeah. I know they went to stray from functional errata, but little ones like that just makes
sense. Yeah.
That just makes sense. But then you would have people complaining like, "Oh, well, why didn't Caves of Koilos get a functional errata?" Well, because that's one card in a cycle of 10. Little things like that. But just seeing all of these functional reprints, like you said, they're all helping combo with redundancy, because there's been a couple of others, and there's also been cards where they may not be functionally identical, but they might as well be. We have like 5 spells that have been printed in the last 2 years that all cost 1 in a green or instant speed bite effects. Not fight effects, bite effects. They're like, I think the first one was literally bite down.
Or rapid bite, I think.
Rapid bites exist for a while, but that's sorcery speed.
Oh yeah,
Bite down came in Dominaria United, and there's been 4 others since then. Now they affect different things, but they all affect at least a creature. Some of them also affect planeswalkers. Some of them will also affect battles, because battles are a thing we care about. But just seeing this level of effect, it all tends to be removal or card advantage. We don't see this level of redundancy in creatures or equipment. Like, it just doesn't exist. So I'm curious as to the design choices.
What?
And I'm curious to the naming and typing conventions as well, because some of these things, like, Reckless Impulse came first, Ren's Resolve came second, but Ren's Resolve is not as reprintable as Reckless Impulse is. Right. Especially since, they killed but didn't kill Ren. So they baby Grooted Ren.
Lignified.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
But so it's interesting to see the choices in where they decide what gets functional reprints and what doesn't.
And I think, up to now, I don't want to say they've only helped combo. Like, I think they've just helped combo more than they've helped other decks.
And I also notice a lot of the cards that are getting pushed tend to be combo enablers, like the instant speed divination, or the meeting of minds. What was that?
Just a free draw spell. Yeah.
Like, what are they doing?
But I think a lot of it has to be with the fact of the CEDH scene itself, because basically most of
Oh,
that
100%.
is just combo. Like, you're not gonna find a random, like, every now and then they'll throw in an aggro one, but it's pretty much like 85-90% combo. And I think that's where a lot of the scene is right now. And it's the unfortunate is like, hey, let's just throw some more combo into the fire. Like, no one's gonna notice the difference.
It'll be fine.
Yeah,
No,
Ren's
no
Resolve,
problem.
that's never printed before. We'll change the name. They'll never know.
Yeah. I do think, and maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't, maybe, like, the new cards themselves tend to not be, those are the, combo decks don't want new cards, right? Like, and because combo decks crave redundancy, like Gator mentioned that somewhere in the chat a moment ago. Like, the best combo decks are the ones that have, like, 5+ pieces of the same thing.
Same thing.
Untappers, land untappers, for freed decks. They have like 3 to 5 copies of freed, depending on how, which deck you're playing. Tadiova has, however many things that put lands into play. It has 2 ghostly flickers. It has,
All of them.
Yeah, a billion ways to find Mystic Sanctuary. Malcolm has, a bunch of type changers, a bunch of, artifact pingers now. Like, there's just so much redundancy across those combo decks that the cards we are seeing from each set that have, like, an impact on kind of like the mid-range control aggro decks are the unique ones. We think about Tithing Blade. That's a one-sided edict for 2 mana that also lets you cash in on artifact synergies. Like, there are these cards being printed, and there's just a point where I think those are the cards, like the new powerful removal and, scary threat, like cheap, efficient threats. Just over time, as we get more and more of those, I think those will do more to put mid-range and control and aggro in a spot where they're competing. Like the win rates are going to kind of like equalize at a certain point. I think.
Yeah.
I think.
I hope.
Yeah. I think the commanders are where those archetypes will really start to change, and like they'll start to get more and more powerful. Talking about Cutzel, I think that has the potential to be something, stopping people from doing things on your turn. It does lead to some weird stuff where the person after Cutzel gets kind of like protected by that too. So you got to like pay attention to that, and like know that that's a part of how they'll abuse that. But like, I don't know how many Lost Caverns of Ixalan commanders just seem awesome. Like Akawali is pretty cool and like scary. Like, I hasn't seen a lot of CPDH action yet, but it's a 3 mana 7/7, right? Or when it's full.
Yeah, when it's hit up, yeah.
With trample and like can only be blocked by 1 creature or something. Like, it's ridiculous.
Ixalan really showed what the true power creep of our format is going to be, because like the commanders usually will get like 1 or 2. It feels like that are gonna see play. Whereas with this one, it seemed like almost every single one can have a potential play in a way. Like seeing Cutzel, and then you have the Zoy Boy, the freaking whatever. Yeah, I think it's Zoy Boy. I'm gonna keep calling Zoy Boy Pizza Roll. Yeah. So, but like, I think that's what's really distinguishing. Like, hey, look, there's gonna be a lot more exploration for these new opportunities come the following year, because they're not gonna slow down on their products. They're gonna be making like 3,000 freaking products. We got a stupid amount of new commanders that came out this last year. Most, don't get me wrong, were not played, but they were still explored. And I think that's a really cool thing about this format. It's like, people are exploring, even though the general term, like, sense is combo. We prefer the redundancy over the new stuff. But people are still trying it. Like, Akawali's been seeing a lot of try. Cutzel been seeing a lot of try. We've seen the Zoy Boy a couple of times too. Like, it's cool to see that people are not just sticking to the exact same thing and just like, hey, let me just throw in this into my Flicker deck here. No, let me try out the pizza roll for a day or two, see if I like it or not, and see what impact it can have, and then maybe I'll put it like. Take the Sphinx, for example. We know it's good, but we just leave it in the box for a while. Maybe one day it'll get like 1,000 pieces.
Yeah. And I think what Dude just said in the chat, there are some, pingers in general, like non-creature pingers or instant sorcery pingers. We're getting a lot of those, or like gutter snipe getting downshifted. Those are helping other decks too. Like TPI loves those. Blue-red X control deck. I like play Carmelo. That's a control deck with a combo finish, but there are some redundancy in those. But so far, I think it just ties back to it's helped combo more than it's helped the other decks that are playing this kind of like fairly. If that,
absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I think this kind of not to go down the mid range rabbit hole that is so easy to go down as of late, but yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be like the biggest area where exploration can happen and will happen. And I think personally, commanders are going to be like the biggest thing that changed with that over time. Almost whenever I think of mid-range decks, I think of, for the most part, commanders that have been printed in the last, year or two. I mean,
it's honest the truth, yeah, for the most part.
That's most commanders almost in general, I guess, at this point, maybe, but especially mid-range. It's just because they're just putting more keywords on cards. They're putting more mechanics on cards now.
Yeah.
And like, it's not going to revert anytime soon, I don't think. Like, they're not going to print any more vanilla creatures. So,
no. I think the only...
Oh, go ahead, Liam.
No, you're good. My computer just did a hiccup. I think the only vanilla creatures we'll be seeing going forward are going to be reprints of existing cards. Like,
ones that say the word vanilla in the title.
No, the ones that say vanilla, in the text box.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's like this is the Vanilla King has said this one day and went down
Vanilla
Candy
Paladin. Yeah.
Yep.
No, like we're not going to see any more just because that they don't fit fire design. Like
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, when was the last time we saw a heavy density of French vanilla creatures? They just don't exist. Like they want them to enter the battlefield and draw a card, and have a draw trigger. Like everything has to do everything.
Yeah, it has to cycle. It has to go find you a land. It has to generate a token, and it has to be giant and trample or flying or death touch or all of the above. Right? Like, look at Wilson. I always like.
Yeah.
Like, that card is messed up for 2 mana. Like, can't be countered. Ward, trample, vigilance. Like, probably says you can't lose a game for all I know. Like,
I had a point.
It's just like they're just putting anything on a card, and it's cool. It's gonna lead to like you said, there's lots of exploration because. I mean, the cards there's just so much going on with them. Like, there's so many options to explore with them. So when we get a new set, like, all these cards are like powerful to an extent, and so everyone wants to try them. And like, we're getting very unique mechanics now a lot of the time. Like, maybe not super unique, but like Descend, right? Like
Descend, yeah.
That's not far from like Delirium and other stuff we've had previously, right? But like, it's a little new. It's new in like the common space where we're caring about it, right? Like, we didn't have anything that meaningfully cared about Delirium. I know Derek's probably like shaking a stick at me about Dragon's Rage Channeler somewhere right now, but like, these are like, we're just getting kind of these cool mechanics that were previously like reserved for rares, and so as more and more of those happen, we're just gonna get a lot more like, well, maybe like. New cards will matter, but it may make random old cards matter a lot more too out of nowhere.
Yes.
Which will be cool. I love that personally. Like, when Tidal Bore was all of a sudden a combo piece and instead of just like a random like pseudo removal spell for a turn, like that was cool to me. Gotta upshift that Cyclonic Rift. Gross. Oh, whales.
I'm more irritated about the Guardian Project and Smothering Tithe upshifts, but
yeah.
Oh, upshifted to Mythics? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
They went to Mythic, yeah.
Good. those cards shouldn't be. Those cards are messed up cards. So, but yeah. So I don't know if you guys. I know you guys on the pod talked about kind of RVR, shifts and whatnot. I don't know if we want to we can briefly talk about it. I don't know. Are either of you guys particularly excited about any of the Ravnica remastered cards now that it came out today?
I am so excited for every single one of them. Every single one's going to break the format in half. 100%.
That's the safest bet. But also, none of them are going to do anything. I'll take
none of them are going to do anything.
Yeah.
I just want the retro frame. That's all I want. It's for my decks. I want retro frame. That's what it is.
Yeah,
nope.
that's exactly what I did. I placed my order already. I was talking to Sniff earlier about how awesome the gates all look in the old border
they're
treatment.
so gorgeous.
I made a deck that was just to utilize them, so I just got all of them. I had to buy way too many muddles and compulsives and drifts for all my blue decks.
The muddle upshift ticks me off.
Yeah, that wasn't necessary. That was unnecessary for that one.
Yeah.
I just like. Oh my gosh, the muddle upshift.
Laughing in our face.
Yeah.
There's that, but there's also that for the first time, we got it in a new border, and it doesn't have the common set symbol.
Yeah.
Wizards, you're killing me.
Listen to us, wizards.
Wizards, you're killing me.
But as far as like the shifts, I know we talked about kind of the upshifts, and really the only ones I think of that come to mind are like Judge's Familiar as like something
that's probably that's my first thought is like that should see a little bit of play potentially.
Yeah, it's like weird. I think there could be like a blue Lulu I've seen play before where that would fit in really nicely. I don't know if it goes in Abdel decks in terms of competitive stuff, but yeah, who knows? We'll see. I like it. I know I've seen Rakdos Pit Dragons decks popping up here and there. I haven't been attacked by a Boros Elite yet, but I'm sure I'm due for it here soon. Yeah, like those are. I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing any other like major ones. I know people were talking about Slitherhead, but I don't know. I don't think that does a whole lot.
It's literally just, to me, it's just the bird. In all honesty.
I have to go back and look. I haven't committed any of that set to memory yet because I've just been too busy.
Just old border. That's all you need to know. That's all that matters.
The old border is literally the least I care about. I'll be honest. Like I do not care.
Go home.
Go home.
You're in the minority, so
yep.
I understand that I'm in the minority here, but I also understand that I'm probably one of the 5 people under 30 in this chat right now. So
fair.
Oh yeah, the Boros Elite. Okay, I was like, there's Judges Familiar and there's something else. The Sinister Sabotage as well. I like a good counter. I like a good cancel. Yeah. I do not like a good counter spell. I like a good cancel. There's a distinction. I am down for Sinister Sabotage all day.
I played that card in Standard back when. So.
I think that one could be a good slot in for specific decks now.
I would just like to say that I love how you said I played that card in Standard back when, as if that wasn't less than 6 years ago.
Yeah, it feels like back when. It feels like back when. There's so many Magic cards.
I also want to point out that Ravnica 1 was 2008 to 2009. Ravnica 2 was 2013 to 2014. Ravnica 3 was 2018, 2019. Like, they were all 5 years apart. I had predicted in my playgroup we would be back to Ravnica by the end of 2023. And while it didn't happen, I missed it by 2 weeks.
Smidge, like literal smidge.
I missed because I looked at after Ravnica 3. I was like, guys, they're all 5 years apart. I'm like, there's no way we're not back at Ravnica by 2023. And my friend's like, nah, this is Ravnica 3. Like, it'll be 10 years. I'm like, no. Ravnica 4, 2024. Here we are. Actually, technically, it's like Ravnica 4 and 5, right? You got the remastered set followed by Motos.
Which is basically the same in a sense.
Yeah,
like 4.5.
I also implore people. I know this isn't Motos talk. This is like competitive. I implore people to be looking at the art for Motos because the first time we were on Ravnica, it was spring. Like Ravnica City of Guilds was spring. Gate Crash block, Dragon's Base block, it was summer. 2018, 2019 with the guilds, the allegiance, the war, it was fall. The new art should be winter if they're following the same pattern. It should be Ravnica in winter. It should be very gray, should be very snowy.
Snow-covered shocks win.
No. Should be very in line with like cold dead cadavers. I am excited for Ravnica winter. Like
That'd be badass.
I'm here for it. I really want there to be a good card that like just blows up a format. It doesn't have to be ours.
Just
Any
general,
format.
yeah.
That way we can call it Ravnica winter because you got Eldrazi winter, you've got Hogak summer. I want Ravnica winter.
I just want Ravnica everything personally, so I'm all for it.
Ravnica's pretty solid.
If we just like stayed on Ravnica and just lived on Ravnica, we don't need to go Universes Beyond. We can just do left Ravnica and then go middle Ravnica. Like
all 4 times we've been to Ravnica, we've been in the 10th district. There are at least 9 other districts.
Which I'm sorry, that's a little shocking because I read that this morning or yesterday. I'm like, what are we doing? Like
you get things like 9th Bridge Patrol, which is the bridge between the 10th and the 9th district. But like, what about the 9th district? Like, does everything Ravnica just exist in the 10th district? What I really want is for them to like we have these 4 sets, right? And then like 5 years from now we go like Ravnica 5, right? What I really want is all the districts are like kind of cordoned off from each other so much that they all have different guild leaders. Like we go to like we go to like we go to like the 3rd district, like just out of left field go to the 3rd district and like there's completely different guild leaders. Like I would love something like that.
So if you take that in Notion, do that same concept, but now Wizards can do 10 commander decks.
Oh my god.
For that one set, they make 10.
Oh.
They would do like 5 in the beginning of the year, then 5 later in the year. Like they would do that. Like that's not a bad idea.
Just release one a month.
Yep.
One a month per guild.
Yep.
There you go.
And not against these things.
And then the 11th month they can do like a 5-color Niv Mizzet Guild Pact nonsense, and the 12th month they can do a gate themed deck and call it a day. Like,
see,
Wizards,
I've just listened to him.
Look, Wizards, I just made you $4 trillion. Okay, like,
let's go.
They don't need help printing money. All right, they got it figured out. It's down to a science. So,
I would just like to say that in the chat, Sniff is saying like take us back to Kamigawa and drop him off. I would say absolutely. Let's take Sniff specifically back to Kamigawa, drop him off, and just cut the plane from the multiverse because we never need to go back to Kamigawa. That plane's trash.
I would just like to say that Liam's thoughts and comments do not represent the thoughts and feelings of me.
Of Sanctuary.
So Sniff.
My thoughts are my own.
Yeah, I mean, we could just take Liam back to Tarkir too. You could
do that. I would be very happy.
I'm down for Shard. That's what I want to go to Shards. That's where I'm at.
I would also be very happy with a return to Alara.
Yeah.
What I want is a return to Alara to undo the events of the previous block.
Yeah.
Like I want someone like Rafiq to be like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Stabs the ground, shatters into 5 shards again. Like, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I want from shards.
Perfect. I mean that's like the one. I'm not the one we haven't gone back to, but like that's one of the bigger ones we haven't been back to. So.
Oh yeah, because we had I was gonna say Ikoria, but no, we had Capenna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was, but
much
worse. Yeah. Much worse. By a lot.
Yeah, they tried.
It's not funny.
Return to Mercadia went. That would be.
I hope that all holy things forbid we ever go back to Capenna. I really hope we see old Capenna instead. As much as I dislike Phyrexians, I would much rather see old Capenna than new Capenna.
Oh man, I didn't realize
I did not like new Capenna that much.
Sniff, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was starting the Liam fueling the Liam Sniff feud.
I didn't even know that Capenna Sniff liked Capenna. I was gonna say Capenna liked Sniff. I didn't even know that Sniff liked Capenna.
So honestly. I only like Capenna because I went to a pre-release in New York City dressed up in like old timey 1920s gear.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about. I went to a whole thing. We were at an old style cafe. I was dressed to the nines, all ready to go. Everyone there was all dressed up. That's the only reason why I like the Capenna set, because they looked fancy as f.
Yeah.
Past that, whoop you freaking do.
I liked the texturing on the gilded foils. That was neat.
That was clean.
Yeah.
That was. I can give you that one.
That's like the only positive thing I really have to say, because like they made the same mistake with the triomes. They named them after places. Like, why?
Yeah, that was.
But here's my biggest thing with the specific naming that they always complain about. Like, this is why we don't give land specific names. You guys now have Godzilla naming technology. Like,
it's not wrong.
It's okay to reprint Spara's headquarters on Alara and just give it an Alara name and the little Spara's headquarters box. That's okay, Wizards. You can do that.
I hate that, so they should not do that. Thanks in advance. But yeah, so this did turn into Vorthos Talk Inc. Mercadia, Old Thran.
Old Thran would be dope.
Yeah. Well, I know we've talked for a hot minute. What do you say? And I don't know if we want to take a break. We take a look at some Magic games going on. Maybe we jump in at the end of this game, and then we take a break before we jump into a second one. Thoughts, comments, concerns?
Yeah, we'll go with it.
All right, we're jumping in. Life totals are still very high, but we're pretty far in this game. Let me get it all set up here. All right, there we go.
He's walking the OBS magic, everybody.
Yeah, the behind the scenes. All right, so we're on turn 1 billion, it looks like, and we got Puzzle.
Billion?
Yeah, we got Puzzle on.
That's impressive.
On Scholar. We got Eric on Weavers. We got Lotad on Melik, and we got Mizu on Amber Feywild with a bunch of dragon fairies in play.
Well, look at there's the Weavers, as I mentioned a little earlier today.
Yeah. I mean, Mizu definitely has the board.
What's Lotad on?
Melik.
Melik.
And there's already the Mystic Sanctuary there.
Oh, so. the is it thing. Okay.
The 6 mana is it copy spells from the top of your deck. So, I mean, boards aren't really going crazy except for Mizu's. Puzzle was messaging me. He was like, "You can't believe you guys just missed this Spellstutter Sprite counter to Peregrine Drake."
Beautiful.
From Mizu. So living in the dream. And Puzzle played Simic Villain by capsizing a double enchanted land earlier. So you can't even trust the ones who play the deck. How you guys feeling about this matchup? Who you think's? Yeah, I know we're jumping in late, but
the life total is still so high.
This is, if I can speak openly, I feel like this is anyone but Lotad's game.
Yep, I feel the same.
Because I'm looking at Mizu's board, which has board control. I'm looking at Weavers, which could pop off any minute. I'm looking at Puzzle, who Puzzle could just pop off at any minute. I mean, Puzzle combos with a stiff wind, so Yeah. I'm just looking at Lotad's board. It's looking like it's the emptiest. It's looking like it's their Peregrine Drake that got countered by a Spellstutter Sprite.
But Malek is the same. So Malek is very similar. Like once you have Malek and you have the mana to do something, and the top card is the right top god.
There's a huge echo.
Yeah.
There's a huge echo.
I was like, that's my voice. That's my voice.
It's just
fixed. Sorry.
Melik has the Izzet problem. That's Simic and Izzet both do the thing where they just pop off whenever.
Correct.
But Izzet has the problem of it's not green, so getting to the mana requirement is the trick. Whereas Simic kind of just does that. Izzet.
Yeah.
I in my experience with all the Izzet copy decks I've ever run with Will and Rowan at the helm, Izzet is always a half turn to a full turn behind the Simic deck. It's always in close pursuit, but it's that one turn. And I just don't know if Melik can recover having half the life total of everybody else.
I mean, Melik, the thing about Melik is it's expensive, but with Mystic Sanctuary in play, it's literally just looking for Ghostly Flicker at this point. It doesn't need a lot to combo off at this.
They have Flicker in hand right now.
Okay, and they got it with
they just searched it.
So it's like they're in it. They're gonna have to fight through everyone else's interaction. Like the thing about Weavers, Simic is always powerful, but Weavers specifically cannot do anything about the haste problem. So it needs an untapper to sit and play. And with 2 red decks, that is not going to happen. With an Aether Spellbomb sitting in play, it's even less likely. So
so in a way, Puzzle might have the upper edge in a sense, given the fact that Mizu might be forcing himself onto Chum. And then because where Roded is, it's basically they're just sitting there chilling, waiting to get enough mana to do something in a way. Like they got the Flicker in hand, but they're not really like doing anything with the Flicker. They obviously can Flicker the Sanctuary, but that's something, but it's almost like just doing a sidestep in a way.
They can Flicker twice.
Yeah, like you got something, don't get me wrong, but like I think that Mizu may see the there's
a high tide.
Oh, there's a peak happening. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Eric is clearly having a good time.
Yep.
Blue decks suck. So Puzzle has some stuff, but
Puzzle got the tide, but
isn't able to protect it really with the Aether. I mean, even just like the Aether Spellbomb there can mess things up a lot. So
I love Spellbomb just because you literally can just throw it like on the beginning of the game, and then everyone has to work around it in a sense, like because a lot of cards need like a creature in some way to really like get it to go.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, like, even though like Mizu has a reasonable clock and like can start pressuring people, the more you do it, the more you're like, this is like my least favorite spot in like a deck that cares about combat. 3 other decks just do not care at all about combat and are not doing anything to anyone else's life totals. So you have to be the one to do all of the heavy lifting. Yeah. And if you pick wrong,
you have to do 90 damage.
Yeah, and you have to like make sure you're picking the right people to kill in the right order, where you're not opening yourself up to just losing to one of them, as you get to the final 3, the final 2. I always pick wrong, and I don't know if there's ever picking right. I just always leave the wrong person alive every single time. And I think part of it is, this deck, it'll be like once it gets enough of these fairy dragons, it'll be able to close out the game pretty quick, which is nice. But like it takes a long time to get there, and you have to like spread out the damage to get more of these tokens. I don't know if he's running any like trumpet blast type stuff that could make that clock way quicker.
They're usually running at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, like similar to like the TPI style decks.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't envy Mizu's spot with Amber Fae. But they do look like they're having the most fun and taking the most game actions, which is always a good time. So,
I will say I'm looking around the board and Misu's got a hell of a token there.
Oh yeah,
so it looks like it's a treasure token.
That is a pretty nifty token. As
I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah, well, I could maybe share that with you and let you know how to get your own. So, and I think Liam, correct me if I'm wrong. You have some of those, don't you? Or they're on their way? Or
yeah. Oh yeah, I got them all right here.
So those are that one specifically is a wild gator bait treasure token. So like I mentioned with the tournament, moving forward, and I retroactively did this, all of the tournament winners for the Sanctuary Open events got a custom token made. So we have gator bait on a treasure token, on a soldier token, and we have mini CJ on a goblin token. And so for anyone who plays a game in the in the Sanctuary server during this FNM thing, or tries to get a game going, can't do it for whatever reason, I put all those names at the end of the night in a giveaway, and we give out tokens every week. So the idea is just getting people tokens, getting people playing, more PDH for everyone. And then, you can also win them in the tournaments, in the league. If you jump in and help out the Patreon, which just goes to help, make more tokens, get us cool league prizes and, tournament prizes and stuff, you can get some tokens there too, including some cool shiny ones even. So, yeah, very neat, very cool. I'm a big fan of them. I'm now on a token kick and want to make tokens for everything. So if you catch me in Chicago, I will have tokens and I will be dumping them on you. So,
Beautiful.
But yeah, looks like so. Not a whole lot happened there. Puzzle cast a scholar after taking a beating from Mizu, and then we're just kind of in a holding pattern. I'm curious how much this lay weaver costs from Eric, just because you don't have anything.
He hasn't
else.
cast it.
He may have not casted anything at all.
I don't know. I feel like I at least maybe want to get my blue weaver down just to try like draw some action over time, but
yeah,
I don't. I mean, it looks like he has 2 cards in hand, so he doesn't need to be holding up that much mana. And puzzle just revealing a nutso hand.
Just bunch.
Or no,
of
that's his
everything.
graveyard. It looks like. So
Okay.
anticipate, ponder, comparative analysis, fracture power stone, a blink, a merchant scroll capsize, and drift. Yeah. This is a solid graveyard setup for puzzle. I mean, what we know, we have high tide. So I mean, he can get merchant scroll to go get a flicker. I mean, he's basically there. It's just he has to be wary of everyone else's everything going on.
Yeah.
And I don't recall exactly what was in his hand. Wish there was a retro Dram Rev not foil. Yes, exactly, Wales. I'm so sad. Mizu says no one's betting on him, SMH. I believe in you, Mizu. Sort of. I don't envy you, but I believe in you.
You can do it.
Yeah. Mizu's doing stuff. So
I believe in you.
casting I
Alright,
think
think
twice.
I think that Mizu's like on the edge of the win, but like is still not there. Like
Yeah.
looking for a pack attack or something like that,
Yeah, I feel like Mizu's gonna kill a person this next
Yeah.
turn.
Especially because they just did a double cast of the thought twice, so
Yeah.
the def digging, so.
Emperor's an interesting deck. I don't know if you guys have seen it or played against it. I always have been of the opinion it's like awkward discarding its hand because you don't get to play the reactive game very well. Like you're
I've
not
built Amber with what was it? Agent for Rakdos reanimation.
Yeah.
I
Like
feel that's where it really though.
yeah. Well, that's what the kind of stuff I would think. Amber's like made of heart bfine lulls. I like abusing the graveyard in some way. Like I always thought it was weird when like you're like these tempo like the tempo decks feel weird to me. Just because you lose out on the ability to hold up counter spells, or you can hold on to your hand, but then Amber's just like if you're not using Amber, she feels really weird. Like she's just a clunky, 4 mana 3 power hasty thing. So like not the most exciting, but I don't know. I've seen Mizu play this deck over the last few days, and like just having that extra body on turn 4, like the way it curves into turn 3 Feywild, turn 4 Amber, usually after playing like some fairies on the first few turns, like I underestimated it. I think is where I've landed on it. Maybe that's Feywild Visitor pulling more weight than actually Amber, but that like kind of curve, like Feywild into Amber works really nicely.
It could very well be that Faye is the real, like, the leader of it, and they splash the red for, like, very specific things. Like, I've built decks where it's a 2-color deck, but almost the entire deck is 1 color, and you just splash it for very specific things. But then you have the downfall of, say, like right now, for example, he's digging for a pack attack. Because you have so few of those like options, you are at a very low rate of the win. So, like, it's tough to find that right balance given, like, Amber especially is like, I've tried to build Amber myself, multiple different color combinations. I think Amber Fae is not that bad, but I still think because you're dumping your hand, you need to have heavier focus on reanimation, which at that point you're playing black, you know?
Yeah.
Given that that's the focus, is like Amber wants to get rid of things. She's chaotic. She's just like my wife. Same thing. She's chaotic. She gets the. I only want to build Amber because my wife's name is Amber, which is hysterical on top of the new on it all. Got to find that right build.
Yeah. Well, I do like how Madness like cards work with it. You know, we don't. I feel like there's not a lot of Madness decks that get played, and like part of that's just like there's only so many good Madness cards in Pauperland, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the good chance to play a Fiery Temper, just an extra bolt. Circular Logic isn't going to do great in Amber, but I also just have that's one of my favorite cards of all time. So, well, Eric finally cast the Lore Weaver, so he decided it's time to try to draw some cards, I guess.
It's time.
I don't know what the holdup was before, but this is like, I think this is the spot where I was saying like Mizi's gonna have it tough, because like this Aether Spellbomb's gonna want to get pulled in like 8 directions, and the second it gets popped, everyone's gonna be like in an arms race to just like be the first to like do their thing now that it's gone.
Yeah.
Man. All right, so we talked about Amber. I don't know. I'm a big fan of a lot of these decks. So, like Scholar, I love. I know I have a really cool altar one from Brad. Have you guys played any of these other decks? Weavers, Melik, Scholar?
I had Weavers when I first joined the format.
Same here.
When I first joined the format, my 2 decks were Malcolm Kedis and Weavers. And after about 2 to 3 months of feeling out the format, I promptly got rid of both of those decks and opted for a more casual stance.
My name's Liam, and I don't like winning.
I don't. It's not
What's
fun.
The point? Just
to suit up a big creature and smack some faces with it. If I happen to win, cool.
So you're saying you're a Dargo player at heart?
Seems as such.
No, because Dargo wants to win.
No, Dargo Rograk. Get really big and just smack hope for the best.
Alright, so we're Ghostly Flickering, Halo Charge, Scab, and Mystic Sanctuary here.
Interesting.
Yes, agreed. And it looks like it has 3 blue floating, so... I guess I don't know what all is in the yard aside from the merchant scroll we can see. Maybe there's...
They don't have a lot of mana floating too. It's the thing. They only have 1 red source. Yeah. They do have the 2 float right now, so but like
maybe if he has a ritual, he can go into Melik and then have Flicker, but like you're still very susceptible to that spell bomb. So I don't know. The one good thing is I don't think he has to worry about graveyard hate from this table. So like just putting the Ghostly Flicker there for later is absolutely positively okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Mizu plays a Relic, but I don't think any of these other decks do. So
Relic, I don't see Relic as often as it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like I don't see a lot of graveyard hate except for when I'm playing Tadiova, and then like I'm up against 2 decks with Fairy Macabre, and I can never win. So the key is just to not play Tadiova, and then you don't have to worry about graveyard hate.
Easy solutions.
Mizu's letting the ghostly flicker happen. I think I mean, yeah, I wish Lotad would fan out his yard just because I want to know what's in there that is scary. Melik is really cool. I don't know. I've played Abdel and I've played Scholar, and I'm now turning Scholar into Melik over after tweaking it. Like the ability to turn your deck into just like way more Archaeomancers instead of, you know, the normal recursion wizards mainly cost 5, right? We have Ardent Elementalist and Archaeomancer at 4, but the bulk of them are at 5. But like now Meldweb Curator is just like the same thing as Archaeomancer with a Melik in play, or even better actually. Like Biblioplexus, we have Bloodwater Entities, a 3-drop, like, which is awesome.
Like, I feel collectively Malek is the better choice overall, but I feel that, like, in a sense, like, Melik is still very young to the format, and people's minds of direction of where to take it is still almost like a missy-mashy wash thing. Like, I've built Malek in EDH multiple times, and it's very, very powerful. If you just, like, once you hit that point, it just, you can spiral out of control with, except because it being is that you can get a lot of control. You have the combo, you have the commander is just an overall sheer value. There's a lot it can offer the table itself.
Yeah, I think my initial criticism when it came out, right? Like, it costs 6 mana. It doesn't do anything when it hits the battlefield. Like,
sure it does. You get to look at the top of your library.
Sure,
yeah, so
but unless you have a ton of mana, like you have to sit and wait. And like you can make a ton of mana. You can play rituals and stuff. So like maybe I think I was underestimating that component of it.
I would be curious if a Melik deck would benefit from a play pattern of not rituals but treasure spells prior to casting Melik. Stockpiling a bunch of treasures. That way when Melik comes down, you have the mana.
Yeah. Well, I know Lotad's runs a lot like those the kind of
the big scores.
Your big score type, seize the spoils, all those.
Where like rather than trying to ramp out Melik comes down on turn 6 with 6 lands, and you stockpile the treasures for Melik's entry.
Yeah. All right, so here
it's not a bad decision. Because the biggest problem with Melik is it comes out at 6 mana, and more often than not just can't do anything.
Yeah.
Melik is potentially entering the battlefield finally, though. So we'll see after a High Tide was cast. So and of course I don't remember what was put on top was Scab after the mill. Is there a way for puzzle combo at instant speed here? There is, if he has. Well, I know he has his own High Tide, but that doesn't really matter right now because I mean it just like helps everyone's High Tide, I guess. He does have comparative analysis in the yard, which is one of the few ways to win at instant speed. So if he has a way to like make enough mana to cast the flicker hand, whatever he's using to generate mana, he can combo off at instant speed in response to what everyone else is doing. So
I would not have thought of the fact that every other player has blue and High Tide would benefit them.
Yeah, I did not think that either.
I would have run out that High Tide combo and made all the islands tap for 5 blue.
Yeah, it comes up. I mean, I've seen it come up so much lately. I mean, Puzzle is probably thinking like, I maybe I do go for it. I don't have to waste. I can like use my High Tide later and just like use Lotads right now. So, especially now that Chum had to use his piece of interaction to stop Melik. And I mean,
I kind of foresaw that happening because when I played the Weavers, like and it's so like the difference between like the Weavers and Gretchen, like Gretchen, even if it dies, like whoop-de-doo, it costs so low you can recast it. Whereas with the Weaver twins, the entire like you already see your win in the command zone, and it quote unquote requires 2 pieces in a sense. Like even if it doesn't, that's like the way I see it is like, oh, I have to have both of these in order to actually get anything. But then on top of that, you can see it happening as it happens. You know, like, oh, there's the lake, and I'm driving towards it. Like, you know what's coming. Whereas, like with Gretchen, you don't really need to have Gretchen, and I think that's where they're built differently. So the Weavers players need to basically play around everyone else, and almost in a sense, like while they're building, still dirtle to control the board. Otherwise, they're just gonna die instantly. Because like when I played my Weavers twins in Detroit, literally I never got to play a single game because everyone just came after me immediately because it was just so transparent what I was gonna do the entire time. And I think that's the reason why the Weavers struggle so much nowadays is it's just up. I know get ready. I got the trigger. Let's go. Like
I remember sitting down with you in a pod, and I worked so hard to convince that pod that you were the problem. They would not believe me. They were like, "We've never seen these before. These can't be that good." And I was like, "No, you don't understand."
Yep.
Like,
and you starting with that, like it just kept going the whole day. Because at one point, I faced against Eric too. At one point, and I think I faced against 2 other gut decks, and everyone's like, "Yep, this is nope." You see the twins? Yeah, those right there. Yeah, those are the problem.
Those
don't worry about
here.
it. Yep. Get rid of that. Like I started helping out people just like track their life totals. I had died so quickly. Like yeah, sure. I'll be the mini judge of the table. Go ahead.
What does LRR call it? The table friend.
Yeah. There you go.
To be fair, that was the first time Willie. Okay, Sniff saying that was one of the first times Willie guys played PDH, but.
Yeah, so that table was me, Sniff, Liam, and a kid playing. What the hell was it?
Oh, Sniff was in that pod,
Finn.
right?
Yeah, and
Sniff was. Yeah, I was trying to remember who the 4th player was. It was me. It was Chris. It was Finn.
And then
Noggle Ransacker.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And so legit, the Finn player, to each their own. Don't get me wrong. They accidentally shuffled their hand into their library.
Yeah.
And you could genuinely see Sniff, Liam, and myself like all genuinely confused as to what just happened.
It's like
okay,
it's like Judge.
Yeah. Oh man, we got Puzzle high tiding at the end of Lotad's turn.
Oh, okay.
Chum out of cards, unable to activate. It looks like it has 1 card. Mizu just has 2 treasures. The Sabrade is going at something at the end of Lotad's turn from Mizu. Puzzle might be able to pull off a win here, which would be awesome. Winning on someone else's turn is one of the coolest things. Fun.
It's one of those the bucket list items.
Yeah.
The magic checklist. Oh yeah.
He's got almost a grip.
All right, so Siren's Ruse. So yeah, so this I guess I don't know what he has to make mana in his graveyard. I don't recall
High Tide.
Anything.
The High Tide again.
Yeah, but like you don't have a way to like untap lands or untap permanents yet, I don't believe, unless I missed there like being some type of flicker or frantic search there. So like this lets you flicker a bunch and like buy back a bunch of stuff, but
it could be just trying to draw into a bunch of stuff right now.
Yeah, if there's a draw spell in there.
Yeah.
Like a flicker gets there, a dramatic reversal dramatic reversal gets there.
Puzzle better win. I bet on him.
Gotta get those sweet channel points. Okay, so it looks like Mizu's gonna go with the Aether Spellbomb here. This could also just be Puzzle baiting the Spellbomb, knowing that, hey, I have enough to go for it again next turn.
Well, Mizu's holding on it to it like he like. It could very well be a bait.
Do I do it?
All right, so the Spellbomb has been cracked. What does Puzzle have?
It wouldn't be a bad bait though, given the fact of like the High Tide isn't the bend with anything, and the Sculler can get it back, no worry.
Oh, okay. So here's the second blink. So planar incision and response.
Okay.
See what other people have. Sniff. Whenever I tune in, puzzle's always winning. Puzzle just is always winning.
Oh, we've got a response from Weavers.
Weaver's last card is a unwind.
So, ooh. Ooh.
Come on,
Yeah.
puzzle.
What does he got? I don't think he's got it.
3 cards? No, doesn't got it.
So he lets that happen. I mean, like
Do we have the third blink?
the spell bomb isn't the end of the world, like right? Like you recast Scholar next turn, you have High
Yeah.
Tide and blink again. I mean, you still need the way to generate mana, and I think he's holding on to it, or there's one in the yard.
And to hand, it's not the worst. It's back to the yard to the zone.
So you're not
True.
stuck paying the commander
tax.
on your 7 mana commander.
Yeah.
The thing is now though, like Mizu is now like, all right, you got to make decisions, and they're all terrifying. But Weavers is out of cards, like Wales just said, as I said that, and then Lotad kind of like, is priced out of casting Melik now.
Yeah.
So puzzle's the scariest.
How many tokens does Mizu have in the 1/1s? Right.
10 it looks like.
Yeah.
Plus,
So, I mean, yeah. Plus, he's got like a bone splitter on the Cloud Seekers, and there's probably enough damage. There's something equipped to Amber. I'm curious if they have enough damage on board to take out Lotad and Puzzle at the same time, assuming no blocks. I don't think there's enough, but I'm wondering if there's something in hand.
I think it's only enough to kill Puzzle right now. Whales counted 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I think Mizu's definitely got to make a decision on who to kill right here.
And there's no cards in Eric's hand, right?
Yeah, Chum's out of cards. Lotad's priced out of casting Melik. I think you kill Puzzle because Puzzle was trying to go for it there, which means Puzzle's going to try to go for it next turn.
Next turn when he untaps.
And Scholar doesn't play much to stay alive because it can't. It's mono blue.
Yeah, super classic.
Yeah.
So you just quickly kill Puzzle, and then Chum is probably the next
So while the correct move to win this game is to kill Puzzle, the correct move to stay in the good graces of the PDH pod is to kill Lotad. That way Puzzle gets a chance to come.
Yeah, if we're on team Puzzle winning.
Don't attack Puzzle.
Yeah.
Don't attack Puzzle. He's going to attack a Puzzle. I know he is.
Capsize is known in Puzzle's hand, so even a full swing isn't lethal from hit my Goober Man.
Yeah, but will Puzzle expend the Capsize?
I mean, if you're going to die, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but for death, yeah. But I don't think Mizu's going to do a full swing.
No.
Even at 28 life, I don't think
I wonder if they half and half, if they knock out Lotad and knock down Puzzle.
That's what I think maybe more beneficial. But
I mean, that's what
that's
what I would do, which is why I know it's wrong.
But that only works if Mizu. If Mizu doesn't have any way to stop Puzzle, you have to kill Puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And just you don't know, you don't know because you're ditching your hand here. So I don't think you can split the damage knowing that. I mean, maybe Puzzle was just I don't know why he would go for it if he didn't have it. That doesn't strike me as something he would waste 2 blink spells on. So
yeah,
he definitely has something.
I think the fact there were 2 is he's got it. Lotad's dead.
Yeah, he did a split.
Okay.
Yeah, he split it. He killed Lotad, knocked Puzzle down, and he sent something at. I can't read their username. What is their username?
Chum. You can just
Chum.
call
Yeah.
him Chum.
He sent something at Chum because their life total went down 2 points.
Yeah, that's just to get the fairy.
Probably
token.
the first part, yeah.
Yeah.
And then followed up with a stage owl. So of the 3 spells drawn, 1 was a creature. So only so much interaction to be.
We had.
Yeah. If I'm Puzzle, I'm just loving this right now.
Yeah. Oh, Mizu's got a second main.
Oh, Felwar Center. Okay, so
Oof.
I don't know. I mean,
3 cards drawn, 2 were not interaction.
I mean,
If I'm
if
Puzzle, I'm loving
if
this.
Puzzle doesn't win this, I don't know how he was trying to win last turn, but
All
all
right,
right.
so Puzzle has a 3-card hand.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here it comes. Scholar.
Here comes Scala. Here comes High Tide.
Get back High Tide into blank. Rinse, repeat. Find a way to untap mana.
Yes.
Oh, we can't see his graveyard. So
Looks like Capsize is in the graveyard.
Is in the yard, so not actually in hand. Oh, there is a Drift doesn't get gotten back though, so that doesn't do anything. Yeah, so just High Tide blink.
Right, here comes High Tide. Here comes Blink.
Ooh, High Tide counter. That's when you know you're in the driver's
Oh,
seat.
yep.
Oof. We're in the end game now. Oh, we got interaction from Weavers coming in.
I mean, we were just gonna try to draw cards.
They're gonna try to draw
Sure.
something like an answer.
I don't want to say this is the messiest tapping of all time, but I would say that to Eric's face. So
Yeah, that's this Chum's board usually. If anyone knows Chum, that's usually what it is.
yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of actions that can be taken by anyone else right now, so I don't really know why there's so much talking. Just like, you know, if you got something, you got it. If you don't,
if you don't, we're all dead.
Let's keep it moving.
I like how we came into this game 35 minutes ago. It's like, oh, this game's wrapping up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone was at 30 still, or like 25 to 30. I was like, oh yeah, we'll just do this quick and then be done. Like, nope. All right, so Mizu's gonna cast something here. Looks like. Look into the yard. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Cruise.
Well, it can't be Cruise. It
Well,
could be
like
a Harvest Pyre, or it could be like a
it's not.
Logic Knot.
Oh,
Also
Logic.
does the trick. I mean, Puzzle doesn't even. Do you even care? You just blink. Well, I guess I don't know how he's trying to win yet, right? So he blinks, gets back the blink and High Tide. I mean, no one has anything, so unless Mizu has something in his yard. Where did those 2 cards come from?
Which 2 cards?
Mizu now has 2 cards in hand somehow. Oh, Chum targeted Mizu, so Mizu could draw cards. That's insane.
Oh, she.
Because Mizu, yeah, I guess Chum didn't have any mana left over, so it doesn't make sense. That is hilarious. Thank you for clarifying that, Wales. Our correspondent on the ground, Wales.
What's the High Tide count at right now?
1 now.
Yeah, this is technically 1 because of the counter.
Yeah,
the Logic.
This is only the first one. Yeah. I mean,
So technically right now you have, but like.
I mean, he needs like a ghostly flicker.
Yeah.
But even at that, like, what do you really do? Because you need an untap thing. You need a dramatic for the most part.
You need more lands than you have.
Yeah.
And he's already played. He started off with the island, so. Yeah, because Ghostly Flicker's not going to get you there at this point. Like, you have 4 mana. I guess maybe it does. I have to math.
Oh,
And that's what he has. Okay, so you flicker
there's a
Scholar and
flicker.
an island. You have 1 floating. Well, no, he has a flicker actually in hand, right? Still. So I
Yes.
think what he,
I think he ekes it out
um,
because you untap an island and Scala. You get back Tide
yeah,
and
the extra 2 mana flicker. I think. Well,
saves him.
maybe. Well, okay, so you get.
So now that one will tap for 3.
Yeah.
Flicker.
So you flicker a bunch, but you don't have any way to go mana positive yet
No, you're just
Well,
like
because you're tapped out here. So I don't know.
well, no, because the flicker will flick because we're now mana neutral.
yeah,
The
you're just
flicker,
1-1. Yeah.
well, the flickers an island and the commander who's the Scala. Right, so the island becomes untapped. The
See,
Scala gets back High Tide and Ghostly Flicker. You cast High Tide with the island.
well, I think actually, so I think once you have this high, like, I don't think he explained it right. I think what you have to do is you have to flicker 2 islands here to get the extra mana, and then use your other flicker to get back actual ghostly
Yeah.
flicker. So
Yes.
he has it doing it that way. I don't know. Obviously, we're not listening, so we don't know what all it was explained.
Yeah, because
But
they're all
then,
wrapping it up to us. But yeah, it's a capsize win.
yeah, then he
It's
capsizes
there.
everything, and then he can, once he gets everyone's stuff capsized, he gets to draw them out with comparative analysis. So, Wales is listening to the game and says, "I also don't know what's going on." So, but yeah,
Honestly, once you like have High Tide, Capsize, and Ghostly Flicker on board, you got it.
It's just take the dubs.
yeah,
You got it, fam.
yeah. But that took a hot minute, so we'll take a quick break here. We may jump back for a second game. We'll see kind of where everyone's at. But yeah, we'll let me do the old transition thingy here, and we'll be back talking here in a few.